Okay, here we go. Controversial topic time. So there is still a lot of complaints that the Pentax K3 Mark III does not have a tilt screen, and that automatically makes it not worth it. I've heard things like, well, getting low angle shots is more difficult because there's no tilt screen. I can't bend down that far. Now, I am not saying that people don't have their physical ailments. I understand that. I get that. I go through it too. But you can't change physics. Having a tilt screen isn't going to automatically bring the camera closer to the ground for you to get those types of shots. And I don't see any issue with the wide angle of view screen that is on the back of the Pentax K3 Mark III, regardless that it's a fixed screen. You can see it from a wide varying angle. It's just the way it's designed. And so one place where I can understand is if you're shooting overhead and you're trying to face the camera down. Obviously, physics-wise, you can't be up above the screen, right? So what I have done is I have combined some attachments to a phone, right? So I'm going to simulate this having a tilt screen. I can tilt it up, I can tilt it down. So let's loosen this here. So I can tilt it up, right? Tilt it up. And I can tilt it down if I want. I can have it so it's facing down like so, right? For your low angle shots. And you can have it like this for your higher angle shots, right? So we're gonna go through the entirety of this whole tilt screen, non-tilt screen, or fixed screen as it is technically, and get to the bottom of this, because you'll see the body positioning is still pretty much the same in regards to how far down you have to bend to get the camera low enough down to the ground to get those low angle shots. And having a fixed screen or not having a fixed screen is not going to change that whatsoever. So let's fire up image sync and see what happens. Okay, as you can see, there's no phone attached to the camera, so I'm just using the screen on the back of the K3 Mark III, and we're gonna shoot. I'm just using touch to focus and shoot on the screen here, using TAV mode at f11, ISO 100. It's pretty slow shutter speed, so actually I'm gonna bump this up a bit here. ISO 400. There we go. I'm at 1/100th of a second. Do another shot. There we go. Looks good. Move a bit further away here. Okay. Now I'm going to attach the phone. Attach the phone here. And do this again. And connect it to image sync. All right. Now, with the phone angled as a tilt screen, and actually what I'll do is, let me get this so it's up like that. So basically, we've got the screen there, right? So looking down, straight down. So let's see. All right. So in order to get the same angle, I would actually need to get down like so in order to get relatively the same angle that I had before. And let's do this one here. And they're not going to be exactly the same images, but here's the thing. Like if I'm shooting if I don't bend down, right, then I'm shooting at an angle about here. So it's not the same. It's not the same angle. Not even close, right? Like you still have to get down to bring the camera down. Now, the one place where this does make a huge difference, as I said, is when you're shooting overhead. So let me just lock this in place. So if you're shooting overhead like this, then yes, absolutely a tilt screen would be a huge plus. Because there's no way I'd be able to hold the camera up like this and be able to see what I'm doing. Right? There's just no way. Right. So at the end of the day, the one advantage of a tilt screen is, as I said, if you're shooting down, but you want to have a view of a screen, right? But lower angle shots, it doesn't really matter. You still have to physically get down to get that lower angle shot, no matter what you do. That's just the way it is, right? So even if it's flat like this, you still have to get down, right? This would not be the same as this, right? If you look at the tilt angle that the camera would have to be at, right? So I still don't really understand this whole argument about, oh, it's not worth it because it doesn't have a tilt screen. The K3 Mark III is still a remarkable DSLR. It is by far one of the absolute best DSLRs that have been released. And it's the only super advanced high-end DSLR, at least in the APS-C segment, that you can purchase, right? So yeah, it's still worth it. Never mind the fact that it has a fixed screen. It is a wide angle of view screen. Okay, so I know I keep going on about this wide angle of view screen, but what does that actually look like? Because I don't think people realize how wide of an angle of view this screen actually is. It's amazing. I mean, even from razor, like such extreme angles where the view of the screen is razor thin, you can still make out subjects that are on the screen. So yes, it doesn't have a tilt screen. Yes, it doesn't have a articulating screen. It doesn't have a swivel screen or the lunar lander of the K1 or a K1 Mark II. It is a fixed screen, but it is viewable at very, very extreme angles, as you can see here as I'm demonstrating. Now, with that said, is it a deal breaker? If the majority of your shots are done overhead with the camera facing down. However, for the vast majority of people, for especially low angle shots, whether or not it's a tilt screen or a fixed screen, because of the extra wide angle of view, it doesn't really make a difference. You still physically have to get the camera itself lower to the ground. So the screen isn't really going to facilitate the physical element of you needing to get the camera itself lower to the ground by lowering yourself to hold the camera closer. So in that regard, I don't see this having a fixed screen with a wide angle of view being a deal breaker, at least in my opinion. So there you have it. The wide angle of view screen on the K3 Mark III, in my opinion, as I said, unless you're doing overhead shots with the camera facing down, I do not see this as being a deal breaker or flat out saying that the K3 Mark III is not worth the purchase. All the functionality, the customizability, the vast improvements in autofocus, all the autofocus options, and I mean the Astro Tracer Type 3, the compatibility with manual lenses where you can dial in the aperture, all the 10 different custom user modes that you can create, the extra small focus point. This is a very advanced DSLR camera. Surprisingly, came from Pentax. But yeah, if you have been thinking about grabbing it, I hope this video helps dispel the myth in regards to whether or not it's worth it, because it is a wide angle of view, fixed screen, doesn't make that much of an impact in regards to the ability for you to be able to shoot different angles and things like that, as I said, unless you're shooting specifically overhead with the camera pointing down, because obviously your eyes aren't going to be up above the camera facing down, right? That's the only time that, sure, I can understand the need for a tilt screen, but anything lower to the ground, I don't see the issue. That's going to conclude this video. If you like it, leave a like. If you didn't like it, let me know why. That's it. Read the description for any additional information, and I will catch you on the next video. I'm out.